15 minutes, I'm going to persuade you that design is an advantage. And if every student, every worker, every company designs better, we will have a better Singapore. Okay, but looking at all of you, I could be preaching to the converted. But this is your message that you can bring back to your schools, your institutions, or maybe even your companies. Now, I know that Minister Chan had already persuaded you this morning that design is not just about aesthetics, it's not just about art. It's in fact not just a physical concept. It can go beyond physical. It refers to an object or perhaps a process, a system, and it is intentional. It's created for a purpose. So there's a purposeful agent behind it, and there's a specific intent that you want to achieve. So that's design. So if you think about it, we are all designing at some point or other. And if you look at better design, surely it will help us to live better lives. It will end up that all of us will be able to live a better life, and our communities. Now, you're going to say, okay, so we know what the definition of design is. We also know that perhaps design goes beyond objects. Let's check about what your understanding might be about better design. Okay, those of you who recognize these objects will be close to my age band. Okay? But it's okay, I won't ask for a show of hands. But I will ask you, which do you think is a better design? Objectively. Let's see who votes for Creative Zen on the right, which is a local company, but let that not sway you, okay? And let's try to get some responses. Maybe if you can shout out, why do you think it's a better design? It's got a nice display, okay, big display. You can see what song is playing, great. These must be the people who had bought the Creative Zen. Any other, yes? It feels better in your hand. It looks better, right? Easier to hold. What else? Yes? The corners around it, right? Yeah, so again, it's aesthetically pleasing. Anything else? Anything about the engineering, the sound quality? I was told, because at this age, I wasn't really into listening to things, but it is a better engineering and sound quality than the iPod Shuffle. Do you agree with that? That's what I hear from the engineers. Okay, who votes for the Apple iPod Shuffle? Nobody dares to raise their hands now. Must stand up for your convictions. Better design is the eye of the beholders. Huh? I see one lone hand there. Why would you vote for the iPod Shuffle? It's a well-trusted brand. She's associating it now with lifestyle. You see me carrying Apple? Oh, yeah, I am the cool group, right? Perhaps you think that it might last longer as well. There was another lone hand there. Yes?
It works with iTunes.
It works with iTunes, okay. Did they have iTunes then? Right. Okay. So networking connectivity. It was simple. Okay, simpler than Creative? I thought Creative Zen was quite simple already. But okay, so you see that people have different ideas about better design. But in the end, it was iPod Shuffle that beat Creative Zen, hands down. Even though the Creative product was cheaper. But everybody liked to be associated with the lifestyle of carrying an Apple iPod Shuffle. So it goes beyond just the object, right? It's also what it gives you. So something lovable is also important. Next, ever seen your park benches? Which do you think is a better design? Who votes for the left? The pretty one. Okay, Tell me, why would you like the one on the left? It's refreshing, slightly different, okay? Anybody from here? Why would you like it? Did you raise your hand? Sorry? Oh, you like the one on the right. Okay. Anybody else wants to speak up for this? Just shut up. There's no divider? Okay. Yeah. No matter how big or small you are, you can fit in, or you can fit many kids in, right? You're not divided. Yes?
It looks more comfortable. It has
It looks more comfortable. Okay. If maybe some of you might have sat on it, right? How did you feel? Yeah. Okay, there's a certain emotion associated with the design. Okay, now who votes for the one on the right? Looks functional, uglier. Who votes for the one on the right? I'm not trying to sway you. Yeah? Yes? Would anybody like to shout out? On the right. It's more comfortable. It actually is more comfortable. Have you tried sitting on the one on the left? Because your pressure points, and because it's got less support. Yeah, yes.
I have the one on the first one, the prettier one. I'm dyslexic, so the left and right is confusing.
Okay, yes.
That one's all over my condo.
Right?
I come back with marks on my back. I have
Okay, the green one gives you marks.
no, the other one.
Oh, the left one. So that's not good. Okay. The prettier one gives you marks on the back. So that's not so good.
Yeah, the flowers, right?
Yeah, the flowers gives you marks on the back. Okay, yes. Oh, okay. Right. Okay, that's important. Safety. So you can get fingers stuck on the one on the left. Okay, how about maintenance? Where are all the people who care about maintenance? The one on the right is easier to clean, right? Easier to maintain. And in fact, if you look at the dividers, it actually helps those with mobility challenges get up from the park bench. Okay, all of you are very mobile, so no problem. But the older folks actually need something to push themselves off. So that one actually appeals better to them. And something that you didn't realize, but is quite important, I think, for the government, it discourages rough sleepers. It discourages rough sleepers, so you can't sleep across the bench. I guess you could try to squeeze in there, but you have to be of a certain size. Okay. What about this one? This one. Who votes for the one on the left, the parking coupons? That's a better design? Okay, please tell us why you think it's a better design. When M1 doesn't work, okay? All right, it's more reliable, right? And what would be your point? Okay, what about the one on the right? What advantages does it have? More convenient? That's right. Have you ever had a meeting that you start worrying, oh no, I have to go back, run back and start peeling coupons, right? I did that at Maxwell before because you had to peel a lot of coupons there. Okay, anything else for the one on the right? The app, the parking.sg. There's an alert system. That's right. It reminds you when you're running out. What else? You can pay to the minute, right? So you can come back and, I saved so much money. Yes. Yes? Anything else? Anything else? You don't have to go and keep buying those booklets, and remember to keep buying those booklets, right? That's also an advantage. And actually for the government, it's also advantages, or LTA. They actually have data, right? They actually have data who is parking where and how heavily it is used, right? So that's another advantage. So better design, the one on the right, parking.sg. So you might think, okay, so we know about better design, but, design is for designers. That's what they're for. right? It's not for me. That's why we have designers. That's why we pay them good money. Design is for designers, not for me. What do you think about that? Okay, let's see. Now I'm going to get you to buzz. There's some Post-its on your table, okay? And if you can start thinking of a job, not yours, that you know relatively well, write it down on a Post-it first. Any job. Can be blue collar, white collar, what industry, doesn't matter. Just think of a job, write it down, whatever comes to your head. Maybe your spouse's job or your relative's job, your son's or your daughter's job, write it down. Okay. Now I want you to think of, for that job, if there's something that you redesign in that job or the job's influence, that when done, it will actually make a big difference. Make a difference to the company or to the organization. Something in that job, part of that job, the role of that job, or its influence, when you redesign, will be able to make a big difference to the company. Just give you an easy example that has happened recently. So if you're a waiter, and you get tired of taking all these orders and getting it all wrong, now there's an app, right, that goes directly from the customer to the cook or the chef to be able to order what he wants. And so you save on the number of waiters. And that's a great design, right? So you can redesign that system where it affects the waiter, and you get fewer things wrong. You get fewer things wrong, and you don't have to sweat off your feet so much. Okay, what other jobs can you think of? Okay, now in pairs, so you have your elbow partner, could you share and discuss what aspects you have thought of? Oh, are we still thinking? For those in these seats, you can just discuss without writing it down. Okay, to give you an incentive, I will come round to ask for your contributions. Okay, let's have a listen to our friend here, who seems to have a nice job. Could you share with us?
Hi, okay, sorry.
Over here.
No, I was saying I actually saw this in a China video. The students actually go in using, like, our MRT gantry like that. So because some of our latecomers, when they come to school, they actually can bypass the general office, so we do not know they actually come to school. Yeah, so sometimes form teachers, we are not able to mark their attendance because we didn't know they actually come to school late. So actually I saw this in one of the China school. The children has to go in through like a gantry. Yeah, so if on that day they forget to bring their smart card or what, they probably have to register with teacher or the security guard. Yeah, but I think that system is going to be very expensive if all school in Singapore is going to use that. Yeah.
Okay, let's try to find who has another job that is out of the sphere of teaching. Let's try and stretch beyond teaching. Who has another job? Yes? All right. Would you share the job? Thank you.
So the job is chef.
A chef?
A chef. And we said, what if we use data on what's in the fridge or the store cupboard to then create the special dishes for the day, so they don't have to think about it or go and buy something. Maybe this system would tell them, you should be cooking this dish and this is how you cook it.
Okay, so some kind of a system that detects what you have in the fridge and would be able to suggest even what might be some of the recipes that you want to try. Okay, thank you. Anybody who has another interesting job and an idea? Thank you.
So it took us a long time to decide what the job is, and then we were inspired by all the photographers, which I suspect are going to be rather upset with me, but because I'm going to suggest how their job becomes.
They're shooting you now.
Yeah, no, I'm a little bit worried. So we've been watching the Cricket World Cup, and they've replaced photographers with tiny little drones. So it doesn't interfere with the play, and then you get all those, as a viewer, you get the most amazing shots that can be slowed down, like live in real time. So photographer replaced by tiny little drones with keyhole surgery. I'm sorry, I don't want any of you to lose your jobs.
Well,
I think
you
you're
still
all
need
brilliant.
somebody to operate the drone.
Yes, you're all brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yes, okay. So in certain cases, perhaps the photographers may have to learn a new skill. Okay, thank you for all your contributions. Now, so imagine that if every work tries to redesign or contributes to the redesign of his or her job, and every company does that, what will the industry achieve? Surely there will be more productivity. Surely there will be new products, new value added. Surely there will be also new solutions coming up. And what we can see would be higher value added per worker. And this is very important for Singapore. We all know that Singapore is a high-cost country, right? We've just been complaining about it in the last week. It is, okay, not just high COEs, it's okay. It's high land costs, right? High energy costs, high wage costs, high water costs, and we are so far from the customers. Why would anybody want to set up shop in Singapore? Why would any business come to Singapore and stay in Singapore? We will have to be able to justify that. And as usual, human resource is the best advantage that we have. So if we continue to add value and use design as an advantage, as a strategy, we will be able to achieve that better Singapore. Now, so you're going to say, whose job is it then to raise the design capability of everyone? Is it school? I think you all would object because I think 50% of you are teachers from the Gen Ed and 30% of you are probably from the polys and ITE. But it does start in school. So we do have to take some responsibility. It's not solely our responsibility. I think there's lifelong learning, and there needs to be an environment set up in the companies for design to happen. But it does start in school, right? Now, give you an example where we actually have covered all our students. So this is to encourage you that even though we don't have a subject called design in our school system every year, all our students have an opportunity to learn the methodology of design thinking as well as to practice it. So all of you are familiar with all our Sec 1s and Sec 2s going through design and technology. So this is an example. Ariel Hu, she has come up with a means to be able to keep yourself safe when you're doing crafting. If anybody has done crafting, you know you always get cut by the very sharp knife. So she's come up with, using design thinking methodology in D&T, to come up with can hold. And this is her particular product that she has. She has done a process of iterating, and she started off thinking about using lipstick holder, etc., to try to think of a way to keep it. And eventually, she moved into a very different idea, which is the kangaroo. Nothing to do whatsoever. Maybe she used Scamper. And so we have a jump in her ideas, a leap in her ideas, to using the kangaroo and how strong the legs are. And so she used the process of iteration, research, etc., putting together her ideas, and she came up with this winning idea. So that's Ariel for you, using D&T and the methodologies there to put design thinking into action. Now, it's not just about the student or the curriculum. Actually, behind it are the teachers. So Edgefield Secondary is an interesting school. I actually dropped into the school before the pandemic, And they have a very strong D&T department. And what they have done is they were actually the first to put together Express and NA students to teach in the same class before full subject-based banding happened. So they even thought of that. And they're one of the first few schools to use e-portfolio as well as e-project management. So it looks like they are creating the environment and they're utilizing what they preach to be able to come up with new and improved learning environments all the time. Now, this is another example where we can practice design thinking. Now, we all know that project work is something that the ministry requires to happen in not just at A levels, it happens at IB, but it also happens at primary school and secondary school. And the special thing about project work is, one, you must have a group, that's important. Two, it's actually interdisciplinary, but if the school designs it that way. Three, it is low stakes. It is low stakes, and that allows you to do a lot of iteration and perhaps failure and focusing on the process. So all these elements in project work allow fertile ground for you to practice design thinking. But again, it falls on the teachers and the school to figure out how do we design the task such that it is authentic and it allows for the students to be able to work through the entire process. It's not just in project work. Project work might happen maybe once in your entire primary school life, once in your entire secondary school life. We have values in action. Values in action takes place every year for every student. So if you look at the VIA facilitation guide, it is actually the design thinking process embedded in there. That's what was influencing as well as inspiring this process. Discovering first what matters to us in the community, because values in action is focused on the community. Finding ways in which the community has a need and that the students have a talent that they can apply to the community. Then they get information and set goals, brainstorm the project idea, so it's very open. It depends on what is in the community, what matters to them, and then they develop a plan, achieve their goals, evaluate their efforts, and then celebrate their learning and so on, and continue to be a change maker. So embedded in VIA allows for design thinking. Only if we create that process and that environment to do so. Now, this is an example of Dunman Secondary School utilizing the opportunity well. So you see them here. What they were thinking about was the problem of food security and how they might contribute to some solutions. So they actually designed their own urban farming, urban hydroponics farm within their school for the community. So they visited some urban farmers, checked out what was the problems and the difficulties and the challenges that they had, and they actually built their own hydroponics solution. And they hit some troubles. They realized that after a while, all their vegetables died because algae was growing. So they went back to the drawing board and found a solution. Although I was wondering about the solution because it was hydrogen peroxide. So I guess there weren't any plants when they applied the solution. Yeah. So in the end, this is what they got. Lots and lots of harvests, which they contributed back to the community. So opportunities for them to gain inspiration for wanting to complete their project because it means something to the community. Now, this is another example of design thinking happening in applied learning program. But applied learning program, which happens in every school, can be designed with or without a design thinking base. So let me encourage you to, if you have an ALP in your school, or if you are a company and you want to work and partner with a school for an authentic project, think about the ALP and how you might design a project, a problem, so that they can tackle it using design thinking. So here is Admiralty Secondary students telling you about the project.
I want to help seniors switch on the lights.
Ask for help when they fall.
Close the windows automatically when it rains.
Our applied learning program focuses on science, technology, engineering and mathematics, or STEM in short.
Through the program, students learn about the design thinking framework, which has a central focus on empathy. This encourages our students to put users at the core of their solutions.
Our project is about helping the elderly who have difficulty hearing or moving around.
Just like how our automated window can help an elderly with mobility issues to close the windows without having to physically walk over to it.
Through this program, we hope to raise students' awareness and generate interest in coding and programming.
We came into the school with almost zero knowledge of coding. Coding can be difficult to learn, but the ALP lessons made it exciting.
I like that we can make a difference to the community with our creations.
Firstly, we try to understand the problems we're trying to solve from the user's perspective. Then, with the help of our teachers, we proceed to brainstorm for solutions and create our prototypes. Actually, it's quite fun.
I hope I can apply this knowledge and turn it into a career in the future. Perhaps this will help me when I go to a polytechnic.
Both students and teachers gain awareness about programming and how it can be used to improve the lives of the people around them. Hence, they must constantly go back to the user to come up with good solutions. It is important for all our students to embrace digitalization so that they can harness the benefits of technology.
Okay, so that was Admiralty, but it's not just for the students who do design thinking. Teachers are actually designing all the time. So if you remember Student Learning Space, which is our online learning platform for all our students in Singapore, they get to design the lessons using the pedagogical scaffolds inside. So any teacher can go in there, grab hold of a current lesson from the community space, community gallery, and actually redesign it, modify it, or create their own lesson. So this is a design that is within a design. We have also physical learning spaces. So some of our schools have actually thought about the environment as a teacher, because the students are not just learning from teachers, but also the environment creates that capacity or that instinct for them to learn. So here you see some library spaces that have been changed, not by the interior decorator, but by the teachers themselves who thought about what activities they wanted to encourage in each space. So for the studying zones, you find that there are individual as well as discussion places, as well as flexible furniture where they can move to change the way that they discuss. Reading zones have a variety of different interesting chairs where the students can decide to lie on or sit on to be able to read. Another space here would be flexible use of space. So a performance space can be a reading space, whether it's on the left or on the right. And then we also have the D&T labs, D&T workshops, which can be redesigned such that with the same teacher, they can monitor the design process as well as the making process. So finally, something that you're all very familiar with. Everything that we do in our school curriculum has been derived from this 21st century competencies framework. And actually, you find that it supports design thinking. For design thinking, you actually need strong social-emotional competencies, right? You need the empathy. You need the ability to understand others as well as to manage your own emotions. But also you need critical, adaptive, and inventive thinking. And you need communication, collaboration, and information skills. And you need cross-cultural literacy as you work with different groups for different groups of people that you need to find a solution for, users. So with this as a base, actually our students have the ingredients to become better designers. So I'm going to encourage all of you to think about using design as an advantage, not just for yourselves in your jobs, but also for the students if you are teaching students. Because when you do that, you can imagine the impact you have. The more using design as an advantage, we will achieve eventually better lives, better communities in Singapore, and that livable and lovable Singapore that we hope to have. Thank you very much.